in the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of the same was posted.
Nothing bad.
Posted on the bulletin board in your municipal building. Would you please turn off all pagers, phones, and electronic equipment? Stand for the flag salute. They moved the flag. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Blumberg.
Here.
Ms. Taube.
For discussion, we have the shore protection referendum by Mr. Abbott. Scott, are you ready?
Yes, Mayor, I am ready. As I'm sure you're aware, I created that memorandum regarding the referendum. The original ordinance had been submitted by way of petition, and under the statutory law, backed up by case law decision, an ordinance that's initiated by petition, even though it didn't actually go to referendum, it did have 740 signatures. It's very clear, at least to me, that you can't simply revoke that ordinance. You would have to have a referendum to revoke the referendum ordinance, or, as is intended, you would have to have a referendum on the question of Margate joining the shore protection program. So that's my opinion, and I've had a number of people talk to me about it. It seems to be, I haven't had anybody say to me they think that's wrong or there would be a basis that it wouldn't be a referendum. So I think that's where you are right now. Any questions?
So we need to have the wording probably to the County Board of Elections, and by what time, like August or September?
I think
Yes.
it's 81 days.
81 days?
I think it's to the county clerk, I believe.
I think we should start to work on that wording now. I already have an initial draft. There would be, where it would be very similar to the vendor referendum, which was held in, I believe it was 2001. There's also what's called an interpretive statement. I think I may have told one or more of you at the time the group opposing it and I we were arguing, I guess we have the word about that interpretive statement is right when the World Trade Center, actually the day I'm on the phone with their lawyer, who was ultimately Judge Persky. So I'll never forget that. That was the day, the jet, as we were arguing each sentence and wording, my secretary yelled in and said, second jet hit the World Trade Center. Anyhow, I try to be fair. The interpretive statement is not mandatory to have it. Tom, I know sometimes the city clerk wants to have some input on that as well. It is a balloting position, but I think you would want to explain that a yes vote means the city would join in, and you have to give an estimate of what that financial obligation would be. Now, that being said, I think we have to start to really compile some information. I sent you all a copy of the case involving Long Beach Island Harvey Cedars, just so you can see it. I'm sure you saw that newspaper article about the state Supreme Court is considering whether or not a jury could consider the economic benefit of sand dunes as an offset to a jury award that was $375,000 because a beachfront owner lost their view as a result of the dune. That jury decision was before Hurricane Sandy, but it still sets a precedent. Actually, there have been a number of cases, Ocean City having one of them, where individuals awarded $100,000 and losing that view. We have 9 properties, so there are potentially 9 partial taking complaints or fights with the city of Margate or the state of New Jersey as regards the diminution in value of their property if a sand dune goes up and blocks their ocean view. That, in my mind, is a very significant question, and I don't have an answer for that. Now, perhaps if the state would agree to indemnify and hold us harmless, that would work, because then city wouldn't be exposed to potentially millions of dollars if there's a condemnation, inverse condemnation action against us. Then you have the other issues. So I don't know how far. I know we've been directed.
And Scott, not to interrupt, but I was just going to say exactly that. I think maybe we're putting the cart before the horse here. Why don't we find out, because I don't even know what we're going to ask the people to vote on at this point in time. Are we going to ask them, are they willing to spend $900,000, which is a figure that's been quoted, or is it going to be $9 million for the next 50 years? And I would say that until we do our homework and we know what all of our liabilities are, the talk of a referendum question is way premature. In my opinion, we need to find out exactly what you're saying. Are we subjecting ourselves to years of litigation that we're going to have to pay for? If one homeowner decides to fight us, we could be tied up and we could be asking the city taxpayers for millions of dollars. Are we going to put that in our budget? How are we going to anticipate that? So I think we need to, maybe just simply, what we agreed to, what Mike and Brenda and I agreed to, was that we were going to, when we passed the resolution, we were going to investigate what this, what the implications of all of this were going to be. And I don't think we've, started to do that.
I agree. We passed that resolution in good faith to look into the possibility of participating and joining in and authorizing our engineer and solicitor to look into the procurement of easements. And because we got in on time, the Army Corps of Engineers report to Congress included Mark 8, so we have a chance of up to 100% funding. There were a lot of questions. Keith Watson, project manager for the Army Corps of Engineers, he's offered to come talk to us at a public meeting on Thursday, June 6th. And if it's okay with the commission, that might be a good starting point.
Yeah, but no, I
get
say
some
no.
of our questions
Why
answered.
would we want him at a public meeting? If he wants to meet with us, why don't we let him meet with Ed and Scott privately? I don't think we're ready to talk to the public about this.
All right,
I think it's irresponsible.
We did meet with them publicly, and, we met with the DEP privately. We met with Ben Kaiser and Bill Dixon. Keith Watson is the project manager of the Army Corps of Engineers, and I think he would be really helpful in either validating our concerns or dispelling any concerns that we might have. And I think it's a good starting point to answer some of our questions. We've got to start somewhere. We can highly advertise it in the papers, the website, the newsletter, maybe video.
It's a ridiculous show that
Maybe
you're putting
video,
on
you
here.
put it on our-
This is a
stream it on
ridiculous
our website.
political show that you're trying to orchestrate.
All right, guys, it's my turn.
Well, should we invite Governor Chris Christie down as well? If we're going to do our due diligence, Mike, we do it the way we said we were going to do it. We do it with Scott, we do it with Ed. If the DEP wants to come and talk to them first, then we can give them the questions and the concerns that we have, but these are no-brainers. Are we going to be looking at outfall pipes? Are we going to be looking at tens of millions of dollars? Are we going to be looking at a long-term commitment for replenishment, and what are the benefits going to be?
Again, the DEP met with us already. Okay.
These things should be vetted with the engineering team, not with the public.
We are, I hate to say this, 2 meetings in a row almost, but I happen to agree with you. I think we're a little early in the process. I think we have to collect some more information. I'd love to have a meeting. Maybe perhaps one of our summer meetings we could do this so that the out-of-town people can be heard. There's a lot of information that we don't have. I met a few months ago with the DEP, and they promised to get me information that proves that dunes do work and the financial implications. I have to this date not received that. So if it's okay with you, Brenda, maybe we could just wait a little bit and see how this goes.
Well, that's not my choice. I'd prefer to have the meeting because it's not easy to book him, but if you and Maury want me to call and say it doesn't work for us, I will. And you want him to come on a Saturday, I don't know if that's a possibility.
Don't get if you don't ask. I believe that.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Maury?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who's going to contact him? Me? And ask him to, what am I asking him?
Just tell them that we're not prepared to move forward at this point, but we would still like to get as much information as we can and ask them if they would like to come down on a Saturday.
On a Saturday?
On a Saturday.
Okay.
in July or August, then we could include our out-of-town people.
Okay.
Commissioner, and look, I would be very happy to meet with him and you if you want to do that. At least have Keith. Keith Watson's a great guy, by the way. I've dealt with him in the past. And if you want to have him come down or even do it by phone and there's a lot of questions, a lot of information. He's probably one of the sharpest guys on this that we could talk to. So I'll do whatever you want me to do. And like I say, anytime, day, weekend, if he wants to do it. I think he does come down the shore area at times, and I'm sure he'd be very accommodating.
Would you rather have Scott Local, Randy, work out, or would you rather do it?
You know what, I've had a nice relationship with the DEP back and forth, so I can do that. In answer to one of Maury's questions, and this needs to be confirmed, but according to Ed Stinson over in Brigantine, their arrangement with the Army Corps of Engineers for their fill and replenishment and dunes is a 50-year agreement, so that they do the fill for 50 years. So after 50 years, then yes, it would fall on us, if it's the same agreement.
Ed, do you know that, I've heard that they do the 50-year commitment every 5 years or so, but if there's a nor'easter, a storm, or something in between those scheduled replenishments, that it's not covered, the municipality is more or less on the hook for them. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know the details, to be honest with you, but I know that if there is an event, a storm event, that causes major damage, they will come in and do the fill, similar to Sandy. But the question is, if there's funding, I don't know how that obligates the city. In this case, obviously, there's funding to pay for it. But in the past, whenever there's even a major nor'easter, if the beach is severely diminished, then they will come in and do some stuff.
And that's one of many questions that we need an answer to before we proceed, I think. Okay. Anyway, anything else on shore protection? I'm moving on.
No, not on shore protection. I have a couple other things, a little bit of information for you, which is good news. I'm told by those in the know that the flood maps are going to be issued before the end of this month. Now, again, I will believe it when I see it, but it's vital to know where the V zones are and where the coastal A zones are. And I understand from very good source, they're going to be, available by computer ready?
They're going to be available electronically the way the current maps are.
And so what we want to do is the day they come out, our building and construction department is going to have to understand, what the new requirement is elevation-wise for this building. I know there's a lot of people, for instance, waiting to see if they're still in the V zone or out of the V zone before they move forward with reconstruction of their damaged property. So it's a huge step forward if that happens. What else? The ordinance that we passed that allowed people to raise up, I guess you realize that was a model for the amendment to the Municipal Land Use Act, and that is at a Senate committee now and is going to the full Senate to be voted on. That's where if somebody has to raise their home, they're going to be allowed to do it without having to get a variance if the home's been substantially damaged. We've been watching that pretty closely. You were one of the communities, one of the leaders on that, and it was an effort to help people out who suffered severe damage. They don't have to go through the zoning process, pay a lot of money to be able to raise their homes so they can repair their homes. So I think the state, I don't know where it's going. I saw the League of Municipalities was opposed. They on a home rule basis, I think that was. But it's advancing, and if it passes, then that becomes state law. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, adjustment to an excess water bill. Frank? Junior? Did I catch it by surprise?
The excess water bill was for
Blue water?
Blue Water Marina, yes. We recommend that, they receive a break because they do not use their public restroom there. It's basically for washing off boats and cleaning fish. They went into excess, and they're looking for a break in their water bill.
And it's your recommendation that we,
Yeah, I recommend that we do help them out.
what kind of dollars are we talking about, Mike?
I don't have that with me now, but I believe it's $635. It was a $1,600 bill. It was broken down over the past 4 years. We averaged it out to be about $635, I believe.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Marty?
Good by me.
Brenda?
Yes.
Okay, move forward. Next item is Action Landscaping. Tom and Frank, you have?
Well, I think we're still evaluating, aren't we, Frank? There are some issues.
We're still evaluating. As I drove around today, I seen lawns that weren't cut but came back an hour later and they were. We would like to give them at least till tomorrow afternoon to see how they do with our Parkway section and Marvin Gardens. What was recommended to them in the beginning, they were starting to cut the lawns on Monday and Tuesday. We recommend to them to cut them on Thursday and Friday so they look good for the weekend. Okay? So
And
we would
you'll
like-
keep watching that, correct?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. All right, let's go to department reports, and Ed, we'll start with you this week.
Okay. The Gladstone Avenue water tank, the cellular, the dish that they want to put up, they're working on that. Our state aid, that for our last state aid, the closeout documents are all prepared. We need some signatures to get to, so we can send in for the final reimbursement. The emergency bulkhead repairs at Kenyon Avenue and Lancaster. Lancaster is essentially complete. Kenyon is about 2/3 complete. And they're working. Additionally, we're going to add the ramp by Lucy the Elephant, the vehicle ramp, to this contract. And the estimated construction is right after, the week after Memorial Day. He will move in there, and he anticipates being able to do it in that week period so that we can get that ramp taken care of. Mold remediation, we may as well take that out because we're finishing up all the closeout documents on that. Well number 8, project's complete. We're okay on that. We have to final out the contract. We're waiting for our anniversary inspection reports from the independent tank inspector for the Benson Avenue water tank. The beach bulkhead stair repairs and replacements. I believe as of today, all the repairs are done and the replacements are moving along. There's probably 3 or 4 of the replacements installed. We did move one, we had a replacement that we didn't need that we're moving to another location. So we're going to keep the same amount of replacements. We're just looking where else we can add, we can put those replacement stairs, because ultimately all our stairs need to be replaced at some point in the future. And
Will that be done by Memorial Day as promised?
yes, that's the intent.
Thank you.
Many residents have called me. I've given them assurance they'll have access to the beach for Memorial Day. And Mansfield Avenue, the emergency sewer work is complete. The repaving is done. We had requested a price from the paving contractor, who also did the pipe work, to do some paving, some areas that needed to be repaved. The Adams Avenue street end at the beach, which got destroyed during the storm. The area of Lancaster between the between the edge of the broken pavement and the new the new bulkhead, and the trench areas at the old City Hall. They are going to move. They're going to do that next week. They'll be in on Monday, and the price was very reasonable, and they have their machines in, so we'll get that all cleaned up. So that'll be done by Memorial Day.
Okay.
And the only thing, I did receive an email today from Ben Kaiser at the DEP regarding the beach fill, requesting the shape files of our electric tax maps. so that they can start to lay out how they would do the beach fill if they need it, if we're going with it. If no one has any objections, I would like to, it's just an email I have to send them, the files. That way, they'll be able to answer more questions that, once they have current data, they can look at it and they'll be able to answer our questions better because they'll have a better feel for cost and timing and other, storm drainage, all the issues, the questions that we have. So if no one has any objections, I'll fire that off tomorrow to those guys and they can take a look at them.
I have no objection. Brendan?
Okay?
Okay?
And I have started, we've started the Washington Avenue municipal building evaluation. I am bringing Christina Buendicho as my sub so that we can go over the code requirements. I need to meet with the court clerk to make sure that we have all the court requirements because actually the code requirements for the court are the most intensive of any of them. So we'll be doing that. Hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have that report done. That's being funded by FEMA, and we'll have a better feel for, that we can put in for mitigation cost from FEMA for some more repair, some of the mitigation and code compliant issues that are necessary. So, the only other thing, I did meet with FEMA, with the FEMA reps on the beach. We spent 8 hours on the beach in the wind, and they were very thorough, but they were also very fair with what they were allowing. So it'll be interesting to see what the dollar value comes up for the reimbursement for the bulkheads, for the stair. They were very compliant on the cost that we have for the stair replacement and repairs. So we should come out okay with that.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed. And Ed is also heading our, another hat he's going to be wearing that we asked him to help us out with, and that was energy aggregation.
Actually, I spoke to, there's 2 or 3 people that want to talk to us about the energy aggregation. What I'd like to do is, at your convenience and Rich's convenience, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, meet with at least one of them, maybe 2 of them, to talk about what they want to do or how they propose about going about it. It's a very beneficial program. We were involved down in Cape May County in actually forming a co-op between 4 or 5 municipalities, and there's a sweet spot with the number of people or meters where the price really comes down and all the residents benefit. So,
Thank you, Ed. Chief DeVasso?
Things in the fire department are going very smoothly right now. We are, the only thing I have to report is we are working hard to get everything ready for the beach patrol to start on time without any glitches, and things are looking good. I'm working with Frank and Ed on the rebuilding of the headquarters right now, and things are moving along really good. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Frank?
Yeah, last weekend was the garage sale citywide cleanup. Of course, it rained on Saturday. Everybody knows that. But we did have a lot of stuff we picked up. We filled about 12 dumpsters. Averaged it's out to about 500 yards of trash, which is a whole lot of trash, believe me. We're in the process of getting ready for Memorial Day. We put the flags up on Ventnor Avenue. We're going to start with Atlantic and then Jerome. It was brought to our attention by a few property owners that have properties that are inhabitable, and they requested that we look at their water and sewer bills for some type of relief until they get back into their residence. At this point, I would like to ask if the due date for the water bills be pushed back to June 15th instead of June 1st. So it gives us a little more time to look at the situation.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. We're also working out on the Parkway with the sprinkler systems, especially just not the Parkway, but all over town. This week we will have the fountains on. We are in the process of setting up the beach. We're almost done with that. I believe next week all we have to do is put out the path mats. And as Chief Tabasso said, beach headquarters, we're moving along with that. We have the utilities in there. We already have a shower stall, their toiletry stuff, and we're looking to start putting the walls up. The 2 rooms here that had to be remediated, we put new carpet down in them, and thanks to Fred Verna, we have voicemail now at Public Works, and that is for weekends, holidays, and when we're our off time. So when you call Public Works, there will be a directory there that tells you if you have a water or sewer problem, to call the non-emergency number at the police station, and direct you to other things.
Great. Frank, with the water and sewer bills, what do you say you wanted to push it back, and you're looking at, what are we doing?
What we'd like to do is look at the situations these people have, to also get like some information from Jim Galantino about what houses or how many houses are inhabitable, and just ask them for like...
Okay. No, I heard something about it, but if we're going to do something to push it back, we need to pass a resolution of the governing body to do it.
Yes.
And number 2, I hope that Scott's involved and financial people are involved and I'm involved. I'm the utility collector, as you know, because there are some ramifications here if we do anything of any significance. If we're talking a couple of homes, as long as legally Scott feels we can do something legally, I know there's a statutory provision for tax assessment. I'm just not sure about the utility collection.
Scott and I have talked about it. This came up earlier today with me, and what we decided to do is ask the governing body to consider putting it back for 2 weeks to give us time, so on June 6th we could bring a resolution, if we are going to bring a resolution to address the situation. There are a lot of questions that have been raised already by Frank. I think we need to review our current situation with regard to what we do when houses are demolished, and we should cover it all, and we'll meet, Tom. We totally agree.
Tom, my question is, what the 2 weeks, what impact does that have on our cash flow position?
For a couple of weeks, we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we just want the reason to bring that in and extend it would be simply to allow people not to feel like they were in violation for that 2 weeks. And most people are still going to pay, and they're not going to be affected one way or the other with this, but there are a number of people that have asked to have it reduced, and we can't possibly bring something meaningful to you before June 1st.
We want an opportunity to have the guidelines set in place so there's a fair standard operating procedure for everybody that might ask for leniency whose home has been condemned or is uninhabitable.
Okay. Now, do we need a resolution?
You would need, Frank, they're due June 2nd, correct?
Yes.
And we don't meet again until June
6th.
6th. So
We have to do it.
I just found out about that we were going to extend it, so now we should probably do a resolution now, so that come June 2nd,
I was going to
we're
say,
in compliance.
would you add that to your...
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And frankly, Tom, if you just want to make it till the 7th, if we're going to meet again on the 6th, whatever date you suggest is fine. If you don't want to go to the 15th.
No, that's okay. I just want to get it done before the date came in, to our next meeting, that's all.
All right.
We need to do it tonight.
Yeah, great. Okay, Rich?
Yes.
Just a couple of quick things. In June, I would expect before the governing body, there will be an ordinance introduction for our second portion of our capital expenditures for 2013. We're working on that now. It'd be nice to have the CFO back, and if she comes back on June 1st, we should be able to have an ordinance prepared for June. I've reported in the past that we're doing well with negotiations. I just want to restate that. We met with PBA this week and we made significant progress. Public Works, we're almost there. We're reviewing final documents. It's in writing now. It's just a case of getting 50 pages worth of contract to be understood by all parties. The dispatchers, we should be ready as early as June 6th with recommendation for contract for dispatchers. And so we're moving quite rapidly. If we finish all those in June, which I expect, the only employees not under contract would be those non-contractual employees, and we would have to deal with, there's probably 24 or less of those employees. We've been dealing with part-time CFOs. We had one in March. We worked through Commissioner Bloomberg, and you passed a contract last meeting, and we've had one-day session with the CFO yesterday to help bring us up to date. And one of the primary things that we got from yesterday, it was a certification to be able to award the road contract that's on our agenda, the second contract. We had some questions, Ed and I and Tara and Tom, with regard to the amount of money that's available, but we got that straightened out yesterday. We have a written certification. I expect to meet one more day with this acting CFO next week, and hopefully that'll terminate our relationship with any temporary CFOs. We're trying to keep track with FEMA, and thanks to a number of internal people, and Ed, who's internal and external at the same time, but Ed's done a great job over the last month meeting with FEMA people. We've signed a number of project documents. I believe we are pretty much up to date. We're that close to being able to terminate all of the paperwork that will allow us to have money sent directly to us. The next big task will be making sure that we have spent the money the way we're supposed to spend it, having copies of vouchers and checks and all the paperwork, because when the auditors come back in again, we're going to either have to give money back, or we won't get the remaining portion of the money unless we have all that documented correctly. Public Works has done a good job with that, because they have hundreds of vouchers that have been expended, and they're keeping track of their own, which I appreciate. One more thing, the lifeguard, the beach patrol is getting ready. As the chief indicated, there are one or two people that are talking about retiring. We may or may not have to bring something to you with respect to their pending retirements for action by the commission in June, and I just want to get it on the record here in the workshop that if we bring something to you, you won't be surprised. Scott's been involved in it, so if there is any legal document that we have to bring, Scott will be preparing it. That's it, I think.
Thank you, Rich. Scott, do you have anything else?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Tom?
Let's see. The fireworks, are we doing fireworks this year, Chief?
Yes.
Thank you.
I wrote an email back today. I know Rosie sent out something about the resolution.
Yeah,
and
it does need a resolution.
I am not, in fact, in charge of them. I'm the liaison between the company and the city, which is Schaefer Fireworks. He's doing all the legwork to get this barge operational, but he's in the permit process. I've been calling him every week. He has no new information to give me. He's waiting on the Coast Guard for this permit. As soon as that comes in, I will let everybody know.
Is Butch on board? Because we do need a resolution of the governing body.
Yes.
All right.
I would say go ahead with the resolution.
So we have the date and details and all that stuff.
Yes. It's July 4th. I know I just got an email before I left from Rosie from the Mothers Club with the rain date the 5th.
Okay, so there is a rain date this time?
Yes.
Okay. That was that.
Sorry if there was any confusion on that.
That's okay, I just want to make sure, because I know Butch requires
Right.
legally a resolution.
Yes.
We can take care of that tonight.
Yeah, we can add it on tonight, if everybody's okay with that.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Speaking of Mothers Club, they sent in their annual request for some funding for some various events they have for the parades. I think it totals $500, so I'll pass that along.
$500 each, right? For an event.
No, they said $200 for the ACHS marching band, $200 for the ROTC, and $100 for the Sea Cadets.
But it's all for the parade, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And the only other thing I saw...
Tom, what was that? I missed that. I didn't hear you.
The
What
Mighty
other-
Mothers,
there-
that was...
There are other organizations? What other organizations do we provide funding for?
No, other
For the
events.
parade, the band.
We support other events they have. The 500 that Tom's talking about is just for the Memorial Day Parade.
Oh, so they have other events too? Did we, Rich, did we budget for the other events too, you know, for the Margate Mothers?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I think it was like 2,500.
2,500 total?
But then
that what
we
you're
do-
asking?
with-
More?
And then we also do the fireworks, which is considerably more. We sponsor
Well,
that.
and I know in the past, we funded Ventnor Pirates and we funded the Margate Little League. Are they part of this funding?
No, we're not. We haven't been doing the Ventnor Pirates for 2 years, and we're not funding the Margate Little League. We dropped down to 25, and then for the last 2 years, we haven't been giving them anything.
So how did we decide that we were not going to fund those other organizations, but we are going to fund the Margate Mothers?
Well, the Ventnor Pirates, that's Ventnor. I mean, Ventnor doesn't
No,
give us
the
anything.
Ventnor Pirates is Margate and Ventnor
No,
combined.
but our kids play in Ventnor, and Ventnor doesn't give Margate anything, so that's why we stopped supporting the Ventnor Pirates. And the Margate Mothers, I mean, that's,
Wait a minute, go back. Tell me again. The Margate kids that play on the Ventnor Pirates are supported by the Ventnor Pirate Organization, which is why I believe we used to help defer the costs. That because they were taking care of our kids in a joint program, we helped them defer the cost. Why did we decide to cut that?
because...
Why did you make that decision?
Ventnor doesn't give Margate anything for when Ventnor plays, well, I don't understand why we
Ventnor
can't...
plays what?
Like soccer or lacrosse.
Does Ventnor play soccer?
We have Ventnor kids, yes.
Okay.
Wasn't this,
I mean,
wasn't
this-
this all
yeah.
discussed and talked about?
Yeah, I don't know why we're bringing
Well,
it
no,
up.
no. I don't, between commission, we discussed these organizations that we were no longer going to fund?
That's my recollection.
Well, we
Is that
haven't,
this
we
year?
haven't been funding the
I
Margate,
think
the
it was-
Ventnor Pirates. We haven't been.
Okay, and we decided to cut the Little League when? And who made that
2 years
decision?
ago.
2 years ago, I think.
2 years ago. Well, yeah, but we funded the Little League last
We
year.
did, 5,000, when I came on, it was 5,000. And then there was some concern about whether that was the right thing to do or not, so I didn't want to take it all away, so I dropped it to 2,500.
Concern,
Zero.
you had concern?
Yes.
Because you never asked me if I had concern.
Well, I certainly knew about it.
Okay. You knew that we were going to cut the Little League?
Oh, yeah.
And did you know that we're cutting, the plan is to cut the Little League to nothing now?
That was the original plan, if I remember correctly, to cut it down.
I don't know, I didn't think the city was supposed to be subsidizing if they're using the
These
field.
are our kids, Brenda. The Margate Little League, these are our kids. You know, do we want these families to spend, like other towns spend, $200 a kid to register their kids? We had a program, not only that, the kids don't go door to door and ask for money like they used to when I was a kid. You know, the Little League depends upon that small amount of support from us. And to cut it, I think is unconscionable. And I don't remember ever the three of us sitting here in public discussing that we were going to cut funding from the Little League, because I would have spoke out against it at the time.
Rich, can you help me, do you recall the conversation that we had way back 2 years ago about whether this was an appropriate thing to do or not?
There's no way that he can remember that, or that you should put him on the spot to remember it. Maybe we should look for the tape. But again, how can we
But
justify
why don't we do
cutting
that?
this money
It's
from the
quite
Little
possible
League?
that maybe you weren't at the meeting.
That's true. But Mike,
Why don't we...
how do we justify cutting the money from the Little League? And we're not talking about thousands of dollars here. We're talking about a small amount of money to help subsidize these programs and all the costs. And we don't even, we don't even pay umpires for the Little League. If we do, it's like $10 a game. I mean, we don't even pay. They're volunteers,
Look,
umpires.
I'm not against the Little
Do you
League.
have a son or daughter in the Little League?
No, I don't. But that doesn't mean I'm not against it, Maury, just because my
Means that
daughter
you don't
doesn't
have
play
to,
softball.
you're not the one that has to pay this money.
Maury, Brenda, we will stop this discussion. This was discussed 2 years ago. We'll look for the record.
Okay.
And stop this.
But no, seriously.
Nobody is against
How
children
can we, I'm not saying
You
that.
made your point.
But, okay, so the point is, we can give money, how do we decide that we can give money to the Margate Mothers, but we can't give money to the Margate Little League? Who makes that decision, and why can we do
Three
it?
of us make that decision.
It's complicated,
well,
especially
well, I
after
don't
Green
agree with
Acres. After the
Well,
Green
then fine,
Acres.
then you vote not to give the money to the mother?
Mike, that you know, because you've been through this, you've had kids through this program, you've had grandkids through the program, and how you can sit up here and support not funding the small amount of money for the Margate Little League it's despicable. It really is, in my opinion. And I just can't, there's no real rationale why we can have a $20 million organization here, but we can't afford, we can spend money on a lot of stuff, but we can't afford to give the Margate Little League $2,500. I don't want to be the guy, and so I've said my piece there.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
I'm not against it if procedurally it's okay.
I know you're not against it, but you don't want to give them the money.
If legally it's okay.
I'm not against it, but I don't want to give them the money. $2,500.
That was discussed. That is correct.
Whether it was or whether it wasn't, Mike.
Roger? What? Are you done? I'm sorry, are you done?
I'm not done, Mayor.
Well, please continue.
Mayor, if the two commissioners are done, I don't want to interrupt that, because, they have their opinions, and that's what public policy is all about. What I will say is, though, we have spoken publicly, as recently as last meeting, about the Little League. Scott and I met with the Little League the day after the last meeting. Scott has done a lot of work in the last 2 weeks. We have what I believe to be a very cooperative relationship right now with the officers of the Little League with respect to having to do a new contract. And I'm going to say my piece now, being I was invited to, and I think that contract ought to be comprehensive. It's going to be publicly discussed. It has to be approved by the Little League and 3 commissioners, and we ought to include all of these subjects within that context of that contract, including what services they provide for us, and in return, what we get from them and what we give to them with respect to property or resources. So I think that whole subject is going to get revisited in the context of this
Rich, do you think it
contract.
would be a wise idea if we're going to do that, then we enter into something with the Margate Mothers? We've done it with the NBA, we're going to do it with the Little League, maybe we enter into something with the Margate Mothers too, so that we're consistent and we understand what we're doing and what we're getting from the Margate Mothers.
I don't have any objection to that, Tom. I personally don't know what all the Margate Mothers does for the city, and I certainly
I think
don't
that's
have any
a-
objection, but this whole fireworks thing is an expensive operation, and we should do exactly, in my opinion, what you're talking about. Most towns, it costs them $20,000 or $25,000, and if we have to give $5,000 for fireworks, we're saving 20, and I would think that that's the kind of thing the commissioners are all talking about here.
And there's no question that that's a great organization and a great organization for the city. The only question that I had is why that organization is great for the city, but the Margate Little League organization is not.
Tom, I agree. I think it's a good idea, and I think we should treat everybody equally, and
Can we just say one more thing, though? We donate already to the Margate Little League by providing them the field and taking care of the field and doing all that. And Margate Mothers, the way I view it is that it's not just the Little League, it's all of our children in Margate. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, I think I have one more thing. I happen to notice today, I think our appointment for the municipal judge is up at the end of this month. Is that something you would like to debate or just move forward on and reappoint?
I'm very happy with Judge Rosenberger. I would be willing to move forward with Commissioner's approval. Marty?
Did we have any other resumes submitted, Tom?
Not submitted. I've heard expressed interest from Margate residents, but nothing submitted.
I also hear very, very good things about the current judge, so I would support his, if no one is beating down the door.
Brenda?
I support it.
Okay.
And I believe, Rich, I saw a few weeks back that you had sent out an email about reappointment of some legal attorneys for different matters. And I know you addressed one last week. Are there other ones that have to be addressed still? Contracts up, appointments up?
In terms of a contract, we still need we're going to need a contract with our solicitor, which we talked about last time, and we will have to do that in June. And we'll have to address the Labor Council as well.
I just wasn't sure if they were all addressed when you had executive. All right.
Rich, Tom, I would request, if you could, and if it's not a lot of work, could we look at the outside labor councils that we have or intend to have and see what the labor rates are that we're paying per hour for these different attorneys? I know that in the past, when we had, certain types of cases, these attorneys would work at a reduced rate for us. So I'm wondering if there's anything that we could look at as far as some type of consistency in rate, depending on, the services that they're going to provide. And Scott remains independent of all that because he gets his $5 an hour.
Only $5?
He got a raise.
Tom and I and Scott can review that.
Please.
Before we bring anything to you.
Okay.
And one last thing, to date, we've taken in almost $1.5 million for the water and sewer billing. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. A couple department heads have asked about, when they submitted their budget, obviously their budget was approved, but they also submitted capital requests. Usually they're rather small things. I know, Rich, you mentioned capital, but there are a couple of department heads are asking about their smaller equipment items of a capital nature that we're into June now, the summer's here. By the time you did an ordinance, you're into July, so they asked to get moving if we could.
What I would suggest is they email me ASAP of whatever their concerns are. We do, as you know, Tom, we do have some money in prior capital, especially for technical things. I think there's still money for items that Fred had requested a year ago, so there may be funding already in place for some of the things that they're expecting, but let's make a list right away and we'll figure it out.
You got it. And I think that is not one more, that's it.
Roger?
Just real quick, as Scott mentioned, we passed a model ordinance in January, zoning ordinance 1-2013, that allowed houses to be raised up and not lose volume in the house. And it became a model for the state, which is good. But when this new map comes out in the next couple of weeks, that ordinance may have to be revised. And I'm wondering if we should have, because there'll be different nomenclature, different numbers, I'm wondering if we should pass some kind of a resolution allowing hiring of Stuart Weiser, who did that study through Remington and Vernick, to have him on board to do it real quick, because we don't want to have a gap where our current ordinance is no longer relevant to the new to the new FEMA maps. So I don't know how you want to handle that. I know there was a certain contract amount last time. It could be, can this be done by resolution where we can go quickly when the maps come out? Because if we wait till they come out, we may lose time in getting the ordinance passed.
Can we do that without an amount, Scott?
Well, what Roger's referring to, there's actually two things. You have this new flood maps coming out.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Galantino and I have talked about this. We have to double check that executive order, and the governor might be coming out with some revised executive order to see how that interfaces with our ordinance. And then over and above that, this state law, it's not state law yet. It may not be. It's advanced out of the Senate committee, but it still has to go through. It has to go through the houses, and the governor has to approve it. I mean, he could veto it. I mean, so I think we're still a few months off on that. But I am very concerned about the new flood maps coming out and how we react. So I think, Roger, you're headed in the right direction there.
Yeah.
Once we see the new map, you and I and Jimmy and Eddie really should sit down, take a good look at it, and say, okay, should we now revise this ordinance, which really has been a model, because I know a lot of other cities have really looked at it and adopted provisions out of it, and we may have to change that. And it would be good to have Stu Weiser on board.
I'd like to have him available because the ordinance is about 25 pages long, and it refers to the ABFE map produced a certain date in November of 2012. And once that map is no longer the law of the land, we have to refer to the new map and everything that's involved in that. So I think it would be good to have him. It makes no sense to use anybody else because he did a really brilliant job putting that together.
I agree 100%. I don't know about a dollar amount at this time. I don't know what it's going to involve, but I would like to have Stu in the bullpen warming
It's
up.
time sensitive, yeah.
I agree. Roger, timeframe, would it make a difference if we do that today or June 6th?
Well, it depends. We don't know when the new map is coming out. If the new map comes
Correct.
out on June 1st,
Right. So, I mean, I think we're all in agreement, it's just a question of the date.
it does make a difference. I think it could make a difference, yeah. I think we should.
I'm good with it, Mike.
I'd like
I
to
think it
do
makes
something
sense.
I guess all I'm asking is authorization up to and no more than what the last amount was to hire Stewart to recast Ordinance 1-2013 as necessary when the new map comes out. That was about $10,000.
Only because if you're going to pass something, you need to have a cap. You need to have
Yeah, I understand. And it probably will be half the amount of work, I would think. I'm not sure.
The answer to my question is?
What? Yeah, it's very time sensitive.
Pardon me?
It is time sensitive.
Do you need that resolution passed today?
I think that would be a very good idea, yes.
Okay, that's fine. When, does anybody remember what the amount was?
He said it was about 10, but now he's saying, he said originally it was 10 grand, but now he's saying, he's guessing that it would be about half that maximum.
So why don't we say not to exceed 5,000?
That's good math. Good.
We need a certificate.
Okay, good. Good.
Roger?
If you want Stuart Weiser, just say you want Stuart Weiser. We'll work it out the minute they need it. I've just talked with Scott. Ed's there. He works for Ed already. We already have a contract with Ed. We spent a lot more than $5,000 with Ed in engineering. We can get Stuart Weiser on board in 5 minutes.
So you're saying we don't need a resolution?
It's a resolution tonight without a certification of funds, and
enough.
we lose track of what we've done and haven't done. We don't have a CFO.
You okay with that, Ed? You all right? Cool. We're fine, okay? Roger, you all right? Do you have anything else?
I have a question for Roger, just something to think about for next year. A couple of our residents, we had rain on Saturday for the yard sale, and so some people set up and for, a little while, and then also did on Sunday. Have we ever considered in the past just making it 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, instead of 1 day?
When we first did it, 10, 20, 15 years ago, we divided the town in half, and it was on 2 days. So if the first half day was a rain out, they had it, no, I'm sorry, it was 2 separate weekends.
Right.
That gave us a lot of flexibility. But since the volume went down over the years, it made no sense to have 2 separate weekends. And, no, I think it's always been, everyone decides for themselves whether or not to have the sale in the rain, in their garage, or on their porch, to wait till when the rain stops a little bit, and we've never had anything more concrete than that.
Maybe,
I don't know,
maybe next year we can think about if Saturday and Sunday would work for us.
actually have it 2 days. Oh, let's think about it.
The issue that we had
Yeah.
with 2 days, Brenda, was that the Public Works crew was working the second day to pick up all the stuff that wasn't sold. So, and then they were putting in overtime, so we tried to work with Frank and Roger to cut the cost that we were spending in collecting with the guys on overtime, and so that's why I think we cut it to the 1 day, and then the cleanup day was the second day, correct? Yes. So it's all, it absolutely can be done, and I think that people would probably love it, but you have to figure out where your costs are.
Wouldn't the cleanup day then be Monday morning? I mean, instead of, because if it was 2 days, you wouldn't clean up until after it was over, unless I'm missing something. I mean,
I think the problem with that was that there was regular work that had to be done on Monday. But again, that wasn't my department, but I think you could probably work that out with Frank.
Cool. Jimmy?
We had three demos come down, 2 on Madison Avenue and 1 on Essex Avenue in Amherst, so that's 5 units. And, well, Roger says Mansfield. We have the table and chair second reading, and I think the ABFE map will always be there, Scott. I think it's always going to be slated as ABFE map till they officially make it a firm map, which will come out in 2 to 3 years. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Fred? I didn't forget you, Fred. I didn't forget you.
Yeah, I do have items for the capital ordinance that we're going to be putting together. A lot of it is coming out of the police department now that I'm doing a lot of work over there, so I'll make sure I get that information over to Rich. And that's about it.
Thank you. Brenda? You have anything?
Just real quick. I remember now back to the donation question. It's my understanding, and if we find out I'm wrong, we'll change it, but it was my understanding that a municipality can't make donations with the public's money, but that we could if we had like a purchase order or expenses, and that's why we get expenses from the Margate Mother. Like a reimbursement is okay. And Maury, if you can find out that I'm wrong with that, we'll reconsider.
Well, absolutely, I think you're wrong. I believe that legally, for all the years that we contributed to the Little League, it was to help offset their costs. Now, if we want to continue to contribute to the Little League to offset their costs, they can send us an invoice for the uniforms that they pay for the kids. It's that easy. I mean, so there really is, Brenda, a way that we can help offset the costs for the Margate Little League kids.
You know,
If we
it would be
wanted
nice to be
we
able
can
to do
find
something.
out. We can find out all kinds of reasons why not to.
I think I'm missing something. I think the business administrator said that he would like all of that to be part of the contract that he is now negotiating, so I don't even know why we're having this discussion.
I didn't bring it up, Mike.
Okay. I just want to say it would be nice to do something for them, though, because the Green Acres discussion is really going to take a lot away. So if there's anything that we can do to make up for that missing support, I'd like to do it.
What is the Green Acres discussion going to take away from them?
That's going to be too long of a conversation for right
Oh, but you're
now.
sure that we're going to be taking away from the Little League?
You can talk to Scott and Rich about that. Okay, we're getting ready for our summer newsletter, and I just wanted to ask all the department heads to please submit whatever announcements or input that they want to share with the residents. Your input's very much appreciated. Lisa's contribution of the employees' happenings has been really missed, so I'm looking forward to her return. And we might want to pick out our summer town hall meetings, and pick the dates so we can include them in our newsletter. Another thing regarding the whole shore protection thing and flood insurance increases, Jim Rotella sent me a copy of a letter that Chris Christie sent to Majority Leader Harry Reid and Speaker John Boehner asking them to pass legislation delaying the implementation of the Biggert-Swatter Flood Reform Act, which would be great, because if they could delay that, especially, right after Sandy, I know all of us would really appreciate it. And I also learned at a meeting last Friday that we're the first, we're almost like guinea pigs. We're in Region 2, and we're the first region in the whole country to be, to have Biggerts and the ABFEs at the same time. So it's like a double whammy. So if Biggerts could go away for a while, that would be great. All right, that's all.
And you saw where Senator Toomey from Pennsylvania blocked that in the U.S. Senate, that vote. I don't know if you saw that. And he, it's remarkable, as though, I guess he doesn't realize thousands of Pennsylvania residents have second homes down the Jersey Shore, but Senator Toomey of Pennsylvania blocked that vote, at least for now. Hopefully some of his constituents will give his office a call and tell him he better change his mind. I don't know if you saw that. It was
Marty, do you have anything?
devastating.
Can you just tell, Scott, just tell me a little bit more about what that refers to?
There's a movement in our Congress to at least space out these flood insurance rate increases. They're not going to eliminate them. They're still going to have it, the flood insurance program, become ultimately self-sufficient. But instead of trying to do it in 4 years, there's a movement to make it, I believe it's 8 years. Congressman Loviando is sponsoring.
This one is to delay it altogether, though.
That's even better, just to delay it for a while, because
Marty, Biggert-Waters is the
Biggert-Waters.
Federal government passed Biggert-Waters, which basically makes the flood insurance self-sustainable.
correct.
That's what triggered all of this nonsense.
Right, it was the perfect storm for us. We had the Biggert-Waters Act, we had the changeover from 1929 to 1988 datum, and then we had Hurricane Sandy. It couldn't have been worse timing for us. But anyhow, Toomey will not allow the bill to advance in the Senate. And so the Jersey senators are arguing with him, and hopefully many of his constituents who have second homes, Margate and Ventnor and Ocean City and all the Jersey Shore towns, will persuade him to change his mind. So if anybody here is familiar with Senator Toomey, please call his office and say, what are you doing to us? Because we really should delay this, I think.
Okay, Mike, I had, my turn?
It was it?
I have four things. First of all, I want to thank Scott for all of his input on FEMA and on shore protection. His knowledge is immeasurable, and short of having a real expert, we have an expert that sits right here at the table with us. So Margate couldn't be better represented in these matters than us having Scott. So thank you. Well deserved.
Please, not too much. His contract is up. We have to negotiate with him.
Mean I get a raise?
Yeah, you're up to $6 an hour now. The second thing that I have is that Mr. Wahlberg mentioned City Hall, that we're looking at City Hall, and that he's looking at City Hall, and I missed the part where we've enlisted an architect, or you're requesting the services of an architect, and so I missed that. Can you fill me in on what that is?
The FEMA has agreed to pay, and it was $11,700, something to that effect, for me to evaluate the building, determine what needs to be done for mitigation. And what I wanted to do is, under my fee, just bring an architect in for just for the architectural portions of the code to just help me put together the requirements at the building.
And in that regard, you're thinking about Christina. The only reason that I bring it up is that there are other architects in town. We have architects in town that have offered in the past to do work for us gratis. And I have a little bit of an issue just asking somebody without requesting some type of proposal.
Well, I mean,
And making that available to other architects that might want to help.
it's
That's all.
not coming out of city coffers.
So I can't, yeah, I understand.
I mean,
I'm not
you can
going to
make the
tell,
request, we can
I'm not
just
going to
go on.
tell you how to run your business. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand.
Thank you. And again, there's no disrespect there. I just, I know that we have an architect that is intimately familiar with the City Hall building. And it's not Christina. Okay, the third thing that I had is that I had 2 or 3 calls just this week related to a party, a wedding that supposedly is taking place on Mansfield Avenue for 150 people. I've been told that there's going to be valet parking, that there's going to be tents and a band and a bartender, and I'm wondering what what that's all about. And I understand, Mike, that you're the one that can fill me in on that, because the people that I've talked to, short of one, wanted to know if it's open to the public, if they can just come.
As far as I know, the beach is a public beach, and I imagine they could be on the beach. That's
Okay.
correct.
And
as
are
far
there
as
any
I
other
know,
details?
there will be no tents. There will be no band on the beach. There will be no liquor
Alcohol?
on the beach.
Okay.
And we've had weddings of this size on the beach before.
And are they going to be, will they be parking on the beach block, the valet parking?
There is valet parking. This particular family has had, I believe, 2 to 3 parties every year with valet parking. And it's basically the same number of people.
150 people.
That's the number you have. I have no idea how many.
I can tell you in the 6 years that I've been commissioner, no one's ever asked us for a 150 people party on the beach, and we've never granted it. Not saying that it might not be a great event, I just didn't know anything about it, so now I know more about it. Have we suspended the beach block parking ordinance for that day?
We have done no such thing.
So if people are parking there, the police will be writing them tickets?
The wedding is in the evening, not in the daytime.
Okay, so it's after whatever the hours are that
Okay.
you're allowed to park there?
I believe it's 6:30, but I don't know for sure.
5 o'clock? Okay.
No, 6:30, is it?
Yeah, you can park.
Park there till 5 o'clock, right? Okay.
Okay, my fourth thing was, and it's in today's current, and I just wanted to bring it to the public's attention, the long-term city employee who recently retired is battling cancer, and that's Dee Dee Hiltner. She worked in my department, she worked in Mike's department, Mayor Ross's department for many years. Dee Dee Hiltner, and there's going to be a fundraiser for her to help defer some of the costs, and that's Saturday from 2 to 5 at Sophia's. So for anybody that wants to help support a good cause and a great lady, try and attend that event. That's all I have.
Okay. I have in my possession a letter, which I believe you got from, about the wedding, so probably all those questions may have been answered in that letter.
Mayor, can I say something about that? Sure. I think you know, but I was really disturbed to find something out. I received that email that Mike, that you received and that Maury received from Lonnie, Chief Wilson's assistant, and it was sent to Rich Deeney, Commissioner Blumberg, Mayor Becker, the city clerk, and the deputy city clerk, and myself. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was sent to 6 people. Shortly after that, a letter went out from the Margate Concerned Citizens, signed by, or supposedly signed by Ann Pancoast and Steve Warner. They did not write that letter. Who wrote that letter?
It was the mysterious author from Water Valley, Mississippi, I think.
It wasn't me, Mayor Becker, was it you? It wasn't me, was it you?
It was not me.
Am I being accused of something again? It's incredible.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
All right, 2 things, my turn. I invite all of you to the Memorial Day Parade. It is from Union Avenue to Mansfield on Ventnor Avenue. We pay honor to those people who've given their lives in honor, and so that we all can be safe and sound. Please attend, it's nice. And I'd also like to explain why Chief Wolfson is not here. Unfortunately, his father-in-law passed away last night, so he asked me to give you his regards. And with that, we will open to public comment. Anything that was discussed here today?
Sewell, 22 West Drive.
Nope, wait a minute. Is it on? Is it on?
Maybe he's cutting it off in anticipation of this side. I think, don't bang on it. Don't bang on it. Is this like Moses in the rock?
30 seconds.
Hello? It's going to go off. It's time to go off. Okay, 3 quick points, starting with the city administrator's statement concerning the city solicitor contract. I would remind the city administrator that there's an egregious grandfathering in for a very part-time position of full medical benefits. I want to see that city. That's correct. Don't look, I'm talking to you, city administrator. No, I'm sorry, it's I'll correct myself, that is the public prosecutor. Yes, so that contract's coming up, I want to see it put out for bid. Okay, getting back to other things, following up on the solicitor's remarks concerning the referendum, I would like to have Vaughn Reel's comments incorporated in any wording or interpretation, particularly concerning the full liability in the event that there's no federal funds available. I would also...
Wait till he finishes his 3 minutes.
I would also like to remind everyone of the storm of '62, a nor'easter that lasted a few days, and that the Army Corps of Engineers has stated on numerous occasions those dunes are only good for about 45 minutes of a direct hit. So you'd have 2 3/4 or 2 and better than that of no dunes at all. But even more importantly, Mayor, I would like to remind you of your 6-point pledge, Mayor. Do you recall, remember, or recollect?
30 seconds, John, to give me 6 points.
I'm still asking that question, Mayor. Listen up. Listen up, Mayor.
I am done.
Okay, do you remember your 6-point pledge?
Tell me about it, John, please.
I will have to tell you about it because you apparently can't remember it, Mayor. Support increased taxpayer input into spending decisions. We will introduce and pass Mayor Becker's resolution to allow any substantial capital expenditure be approved by the voters, and we will never mute the people's voice, forcing them to rely on the courts as their only recourse. Mayor, it's rather inconsistent that you had the city solicitor spend time and effort when you guaranteed this to be put to a referendum from the get-go. And I'd like to know something else, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Last question, Mayor. Listen up closely.
The time is up.
Listen, no, it's not up, because I am finishing the sentence. I would like to know if that research by the city solicitor came within the parameters of his retainer. That's a yes or no, Mayor.
I have no idea. You'd have to ask the solicitor.
Well, I think you should be aware of that before you decide to be litigious. You've been rather litigious and costing this city an enormous amount of money, including legal encounters within your primary employment location that we should not have to subsidize.
Thank you, John.
But I will, if you want me to ask the solicitor, I'll ask.
You're done, John.
I can speak above the mic.
John?
Solicitor, was that within the retainer? The research on the referendum question.
I don't believe it was. No, I think I billed for that.
That was a billable incident, Mayor, and I would ask you to compensate the taxpayers because you breached your pledge. Pledge number 4, Mayor. You and Ms. Talby cannot continue to be litigious on our dime. Stop it, Mayor.
You get 2 minutes.
I was hoping it was going to go
He thinks it's...
but it didn't, so. Total Liberty, I've been here for 10 years, and we get out,
Can you mark down on your agenda for the meeting? There you go, Andy. Bring an update on the litigious, so we'll work on all our outstanding legal. Okay, thank you.
Ann Pancos, 200 North Osborne Avenue. I think I just want to try to clear up something about the Little League, Mayor. About a year and a half ago, we had a wonderful meeting with T. Gallagher in regard to the Margate Little League. And he gave us information about their revenue and their costs, and he told us they had $25,000 in their checking account. And my concern then was that why are parents paying $50 and $75 for children to be in the Little League? So I don't know, Lori, if you didn't get that information or what, but that's the information we were given over a year and a half ago about the Little League. And in other towns, if they are Green Acres, the Little League is responsible to give the city money, not the city to give them money. And the city has never required, as long as I've been in physical education, they have never required the Little League to pay anything about the fields and picking up and cleaning. So that's the information I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Barbara Packman, 7401 Ventnor Avenue. I came this evening because there was something in one of the papers about dunes. Shall I speak up or lift up?
No, it's made for people taller than 4'8", but my wife happens to be one.
Get out of here. In any case, you know, as far as dunes are concerned, the Corps of Engineers knows how to build a wall of sand. And if you look at Ventnor, you will see the worst example of failed engineering. Frank, in the city of Margate, we have dunes that the street department built. We have it at Granville Avenue, we have it at Thurlow Avenue. Why can't we? True, Christmas trees were dumped, sand was piled on, then the dune grass was planted. If we do that as our own city dune project, not only will we save a fortune, we will still have access to our beaches. Another point concerning that is that all of our dunes can be built right up against the seawall, so we will not lose our beach. I'm telling you, if I owned one of those $2 million houses, beachfront in Ventnor, and I couldn't walk across that boardwalk and go down to the beach, what the hell were the taxes for? So that's my opinion as far as the dunes are concerned. Also, you realize at the inlet section, they're not building dunes, they're building jetties and groins to protect that area. You have to, I don't care what they say that they're going to pay for everything. They don't know how to build it correctly. If you've traveled to islands all over the world, there are dunes and groins perpendicular to the shore that work. We should not get into this business with incapable engineering. That's enough on that. I have a question concerning the islands in Marvin Gardens are the only things that are historical. That's a given. Now, the trees in those islands are dying. I asked Scott Abbott, could you advise how we go about, does the Historical Society of the State of New Jersey, do they fund any restoration on that type of situation?
I'm not familiar whether or not they would refund landscape. What, did the trees die from the salt water?
No. They've been there so long, they're just dying.
Roger, can you help on this one? You were real involved with that Marvin Gardens.
All right, why don't,
or maybe the mayor.
Barbara, we'll get somebody to get the answer and get back to you.
I would
okay?
appreciate
Sure,
it. We
no
don't
problem.
know how to go about it. Those of us who
Roger,
live in the gardens and
Trees.
maintain our properties.
Okay,
We'll get back to you on that.
we'll get back to you,
Okay,
Barbara. Thank you very much.
Another question. Do we have a landscape architect that's going to work on those islands, or is that out for bidding?
Go ahead.
I answered your question. Oops. No, not to my knowledge. We have one that we're talking to for the Parkway, but we haven't discussed the islands in the Marvin Gardens section.
Well, as you know, the houses in Marvin Gardens have been selling for upwards of $800,000 and more, and everybody is maintaining beautiful property. Our islands should be as beautiful as the Parkway is beautiful. We're tired of being the stepsister here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Very good. You're satisfied?
Packman, I'm the big girl now. I'm taller than you. I got my heels on. Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. Couple things we talked about tonight. I find it astounding, I don't know how else to say it, that, this whole situation, and I was in Spain. I heard that Commissioner Tobby thought I was behind the letter, but I was in Spain. I didn't know anything about it until I came back. That this wedding happened and it didn't seem to go through the proper channels and discussed at a commission meeting. This isn't just a party or this, it's Memorial Day weekend. There's a whole host of issues. And what I find most astounding is that both you, Mayor Becker, and Commissioner Tobby are like, we should have full disclosure and fiscal responsibility, and we follow all the procedures to a T. We can't give the Little League because it's illegal or blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to something that you two do or try to do, all those rules go out the window. And before you speak, I'm speaking. Okay, I know how you love to interrupt people. And Commissioner Tobby's big concern is, the Poor Concerned Citizens Committee, and somebody wrote that letter, and poor them. But I didn't hear anything about, how come I didn't know about this? And, was the police commissioner involved? And all of those things. In the best interest, is that party in the best interest of Margate? But you're so aligned with the Concerned Citizens group. I don't know who leads who or which tail wags the dog, but the Concerned Citizens has been against Little League or trying to find all these loopholes, and our solicitor has said it, and if there is some kind of improper lease or so on and so forth, it wasn't because there was not enough oversight from the people before you. The first time you stepped into a commission meeting was when you were running for office. And you're very quick to criticize other people who have, I know you say you're not, but you put it in the paper, that, were here before. And no one did this intentionally or mean-spirited or trying to break the law. And, you certainly, in your building department, when you were with building the building, you had CBA architects do work that was not authorized by this commission. And then the auditor, who was a stickler for different things being put to the wrong department. Anyway, none of that's been resolved. You won't address that. That doesn't follow your stickler rules. And I think because there's still some outstanding issues with CBA architects, that they should not be involved in a project in Moorgate until that's been cleared out. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Fred Weinstein, 15 South City Grove Avenue. Do we know whether the Little League generates an annual profit and whether it has annual retained earnings?
I'm sorry. Say that again, Fred. I'm sorry.
Do we know whether Little League generates an annual profit and whether it has annual retained earnings, and/or do they provide us audited financial statements every year?
I don't think they have in the past, have they?
Yes.
They have? Right?
They do provide us financial statements and copies of their tax return. We are currently drafting a new lease that must be approved not only by the governing body but also by Green Acres. Green Acres has had some input. There was an issue raised about Green Acres having to have some authority over the ball field and any lease arrangement with our Little League. I'm working now with the Little League Board of Directors. They are bringing me in information. I believe I'm going to receive a large quantity of documents and information this Monday, and everything from how the batting cage building was built to what they generate sign-wise, the whole 10 yards. It's all going to go in one written document. Open and transparent is the goal. Approval to make the Green Acres people happy with us. And I think we're going to have it in a very good cooperative attitude from the Little League people. So I think it's a situation going to be fixed and it's going to be fine.
My question was, do we know whether Little League, and I think if we've reviewed the tax returns annually, does Little League generate an annual profit, and does it have annual retained earnings?
I can tell you, Fred, that I'm pretty sure it is a nonprofit organization. There's no salaries that are paid to any of the board members or any of the organizations of the board. Any money that they have goes to fund programs. That's what they use. Now, whether there's money left at the end of the year in their bank account, which they use to supplement their costs for the following year, I would say yes, there probably is. But again, their financial statements are available to us. They've been available to us, and they have nothing to hide from us. And in regards to the lease that was signed with the Little League when the batting cages were built, it was not only blessed by the city engineer, it was blessed by the city attorney. Both Mike and I signed the lease and negotiated in good faith a good lease with them that was good for the city and for the Little League. So a lot of this is unfortunate Little League bashing, in my opinion, and it really needs to stop. So I appreciate the time that Scott's putting in. I know that the Little League is working to try and get something that will satisfy the complaint that went to Green Acres, unfortunately. But I feel comfortable as a commissioner that this situation is going to be resolved very, very soon.
The point I wish to again present is, do we know whether Little League annually generates a profit?
Do we have a copy of their tax return? If we do, I'll look at it and I can get back to you on that.
And do we know the size of that profit annually?
It's not much. We do know that there is money generated. As you say, a profit, again, it's a nonprofit entity, and it's an entity that currently owes approximately $60,000, which they have made all of their payments to the bank for the batting cage building. The Little League built that building with their own money. So when you say generate a profit, no, not in the sense that that's profit that they make. Do they have net money in their bank account? Yes, they do. The exact amount, I don't know. It's not any great amount of money, but I do know they have a cushion, and I do know that they have a monthly bank payment that they make of, I believe it's $1,200 a month. So they do operate in the black. I don't know the exact figures. We can get them for you.
And I think the lease in question was signed by, if I recall, Commissioner Campbell and Tom, and nobody is going after the Little League. They brought, to my knowledge, they brought this issue to our attention because, you know, they noticed it, and the lease is considered null and void for several reasons. One being it's 50 years, and they don't acknowledge 50-year leases. But yeah, I didn't have any contact with them that, you know, there was any problems. They contacted me and wanted to sit down and go over some issues that they had.
Who contacted you? The Little League contacted you?
No.
Green Acres contacted you?
Yes.
And was the Little League invited to that meeting? That's always been a gray area for me. Was the Little League at this meeting that you had with Green Acres?
No.
They weren't. That's really, really, really confusing. You're talking about the Little League, but
Honestly,
you didn't invite
they
them to
weren't
the
asked
meeting.
by Jessica. She wanted to meet with me and our team.
Fred, obviously, we don't have the answer.
One additional comment, both in business and government, the fact that things are done in a certain way and have been done in a certain way doesn't mean that there's not a better way to do things. And the fact that both in government and business, people review how things are done. If people believe there's a better way to do things, to discuss that and perhaps implement changes is the best way to proceed both in government and business.
Fred, one point, the lease that was entered into, besides being voted on, it was a two-page legal opinion was issued by the former solicitor in regards to that. And I believe the Green Acres issue at the time, there was a timing question, which is one of the issues now that has to be answered before any answers can be really given.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We can still watch forever.
William Giacovini, 112 North Vendome. I'm appalled at what I'm sitting here listening to. I make a suggestion, maybe we should outlaw children in our town. I mean, that would save all of this. This is disgraceful. $5,000 is 70 cents a household. 70 cents. We can get an architect to do renderings for a building that didn't pass. We can set up here $500 to the Margate Mothers Club, who has been the backbone of this city for a number of events. That's 7 cents a household. 77 cents a household, and we don't want to give it. I don't understand it. We forged great relationships in this town. You've had the Honorable Steve Persky, Senator Gormley. I mean, people like this were very involved in Little League. Mayor Becker. I met Mayor Becker, I'm going to say 30 years ago. He coached my son, and I thought he did a great job. And the whole thing, they had, when girls could, it was a problem with girls, what did they do? They developed girls softball. We have t-ball. We have this. Everybody loves the field when they come into town. We got to pay for it somewhere. I mean, this is a disgrace. And anybody that doesn't want to give this $5,000, and I may add, Commissioner Talby, years ago, I've been at a Little League for a while. Longport used to have to give something. They used to give something because they had kids participating in our league as we have kids participating in Ventnor. If you don't want to do anything for the kids other than let them hang at the Wawa and moan and groan as this concerned citizens group, I live across from the schoolyard. Put a skateboard park here. This is a disgrace. I mean, I would love my children, I used to want my children to move here, my grandchildren. Not with this. I mean, I think we should let the summer kids make a league for them. I mean, this is the backbone. Everything is not a profit. And I'm really disenchanted with the city of Margate to think of 77 cents. These mothers with this parade, I mean, they do a ton of work. We used to have a carnival for the kids out here, a bike parade and all this stuff. And a Little League. I mean, this has been a great thing in Margate.
30 seconds, Willie. Sorry.
I'm just annoyed, I'm just shocked that we could sit here and talk about 77 cents.
Giacovini, 112 North Vendome Avenue. I was going to talk about three things, but since Willie covered one, I want to talk about two. You spoke about the yard sale. I think you really should consider changing the dates of the yard sale before you do anything. Doing it on Mother's Day weekend is ridiculous. I mean, that's a great way to spend Mother's Day weekend, getting your trash out and you know, and getting ready for a yard sale. It also conflicts with which is very strong in this town, Shirley May Walk and Michael Neustatter Walk. There's a lot of people in this town that go up to that walk on Saturday, and you're not allowing them to participate in Margate. We should look at calendars a little bit better and space our events so people can participate in everything, instead of having everything on one weekend. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I spoke to Jimmy Galantino about it. We're in unusual times now with all the construction going on, and I know that, and, you know, it's a wonderful thing that the city is being restored. But we have to consider the quiet enjoyment of the people that live here, that rent here, that come here for the summer. We really need to fence in the properties during the summer months so that dust is not blowing onto people's porches, so that they can sit out and have a barbecue without getting all kinds of dust on their property. Not a fence, it's like a cloth fence that they can put around to protect the properties. We don't need the nails in the middle of the sidewalk. These crews that are building have to make sure they pick up their things. People are running around barefooted in the summer. You can't have nails on the sidewalk. They have to clean up every night when they leave. We have to allow our people to enjoy the summer here, and then do what you want again in the winter when nobody's watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Anyone else? Motion to close public comment.
Before we close, Mike, I just wanted to address Mrs. Che's point, and I think we have a volunteer here in the audience, the MBA president, Mr. Berger. Maybe he can work with Roger and Fred and the city on the city calendar to pick a good weekend for those yard sales. I think that's an excellent point. Get with Frank and see if we can maybe pick a better weekend. Will you help us? Thank you.
How much, Fred?
He said free.
I didn't hear him say free.
Happy to help out, nothing on this one.
Is there a motion to close public comment, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.